What's going on, King of Kings family? Happy Wednesday to you. Pastor Eric here. Thanks for watching this video. This week's Beyond Sunday. I try to get these videos out every week or every couple of weeks or so, really designed to help equip you to follow Jesus beyond Sunday morning. And if you're a member at King of Kings, you know that we're in the midst of our fall stewardship appeal. This is a time of year when a lot of churches do their fall stewardship appeals where they ask for an increase in financial support. And every church does this at some point over the course of the year. They go to their congregation, their membership, and they ask for money because it takes money to run a congregation. And in my experience, both being on the layperson side of this, and now on the pastor side of these appeals, there can be a bit of a feeling of weirdness, maybe a discomfort that is experienced by people around these asks for increased financial giving. I think part of the problem is that we don't have very good conversations about money in the church, and I think there's also, generally speaking, an unhealthy mindset around money, just in our culture in general. What money is and what it is not, and what money is for. I'm a huge believer that financial generosity has real benefits, not only for whoever you give your money to, but financial generosity has benefits for you as the giver. Financial generosity provokes life beyond you, but it also provokes life within you. And it may sound strange to say that giving away your money actually benefits you. That may seem counterintuitive, but I'm actually living proof of that. My household has prioritized living generously, and I'll tell you, I think we've benefited to a far greater degree than any of the places that we've given to. They've had our financial resources to use according to their mission, but we've really uh, gained a sense of peace around the area of finance, a sense of the meaningfulness of our participation in these efforts through the giving of our money. It really has provided us with spiritual benefit as we've grown in generosity, and we've really reaped the benefits of that as well. It might be helpful for you to hear a little bit of my journey with generosity, because I don't know that I have always been a financially generous person. When I was in college and I really started getting involved in church, and the plate would pass on Sunday morning. At that time, I was working as a server at a restaurant, and so I always had cash on hand. And so whenever the plate would pass, I would just pull my wallet out. I'd look, thumb through the cash that was in, grab a few, maybe a five or a 10 or maybe even a 20 if I had a particularly good night the night before, and then I throw it in the plate. There really wasn't a lot of thought to it. It was just kind of whatever I had on hand, and that's what I put in the offering plate from week to week. And then as I got a little bit older and I graduated college and got my first real job, and first started to think about what I could give financially to the mission of whatever church I was a part of, it really was filtered through the lens of what I thought I could afford. What could I afford to give on the basis of my debt load, on the basis of my expenses, whatever my income was for the job that I was at. It and what was really happening is I would pay all my bills, and then I'd have a sense of what would be left over at the end of the month, and I would give some of that. Somewhere along the way, and I think it was around the time that I met Laura and we started planning our life together, that I moved from this mindset of whatever I think I can afford, I would give financially, to intentionally moving in the direction of tithing. Laura, as if you were part of our fall business meeting, I shared this. Her family has made priority tithing a priority her whole life. It's something that she's done her whole life, and she really challenged me. And I had some mentors, even I think prior to meeting Laura, that also challenged me in the to move in the direction of tithing. And then I did that. I moved in that direction, got to that point where I was giving about 10% of my income, which is what tithing is. And then after having done that for a while, I even shifted beyond that. And now Laura and I do this together, that really we consider we give out of a grateful heart and a broken heart. We give to the things that we are grateful for, and we give to the things that we're broken-hearted over and that we know breaks the heart of God, without really looking at what percentage of our income is this amount. So now it's less about how much money we have and how much money we're giving, and more about, does this are we giving out of gratitude? Are we giving from a place of brokenheartedness over whatever our finances would then help with, if that makes sense? So there was a shift uh, that had to be made, and for me it was a shift from I can't to how could I. And I think that's the shift that every person who wants to move in the direction of tithing, who wants to grow in generosity, you eventually have to make this shift from I can't to how could I. Because when we're given the opportunity, when we're invited, when we're challenged to give a larger amount of money, there's that initial fear of not having enough. And so we think that we can't. And the mindset shift that is so important is going away from this idea that I can't, that sort of immediate no, and towards it, well, how could I? So if I wanted to move in the direction of tithing, and if I wasn't doing that before, I wouldn't just say, well, I can't tithe. I can't give 10% of my income to away, whether it's to the church or to other organizations as well. Um, the mindset shift would be, well, how could I do that? What would that look like? How much money would that be? What would have to change about my financial life in order to do that? And so that shift was made for me and for us several years ago as a household. And one of the things that we found when we sort of set aside the immediate no when we were asked, invited, challenged to give more financially, and sort of to think about how could we do this, and sort of suspending disbelief. What we found through that process is that we cannot outgive God. And I shared this with our fall business meeting, and I shared it not as a look how great we are, but simply a let's imagine what is possible. So our household, we do all right. We're well compensated by the church. Laura also works as a teacher at an online school, so we do okay. But we are in the bottom 50% of income earners in I think it's in this county. I think is the stat that I had identified. So we're in the bottom half of income earners, and yet we have been able, and we will be able in 2023, to give between 15 and 20% of our income away. The bulk of that does go to this church, to King of Kings, but we also support other efforts. We support Love Inc. of North Oakland County. We have a child through Compassion International that we give to that every month, and there's other things that come up where we have the opportunity to be generous, which is why I don't really know what the exact percentage is, but it will be between 15 and 20% of our income. Now we have a mortgage. We just bought a house, and so our house payment went up from what we were paying when we were renting. We have debt that we are servicing. Our kids are enrolled in a Spanish immersion program at a private school, so we pay for that. We still live life. We take vacations. We go out to eat, occasionally. So we have most of the regular expenses that people have in our community, that people have in our church. We've got those. And yet, because we've prioritized giving out of a grateful heart, giving out of a broken heart, because we've prioritized growing in generosity, we're able, we found the space in our budget to give the amount of money that we give. Now, I want to just talk a little bit about tithing, and I want to be clear about a couple things as it relates to that. Tithing is not a legalistic standard. I don't view it to be a legalistic standard. I don't view tithing in and of itself, giving 10% of one's income, as some magical unlock to prosperity. I don't think it works that way. What I think tithing is a move that we can make to shift our financial priorities away from consumption and towards generosity. So taking our eyes off of ourselves and our needs, our wants, our desires, and looking for how God desires you and I to steward our resources. That 10%, like I said, there's nothing magical about that number, but it's a large enough percentage of your income where what you're giving is sacrificial. It's enough where you have to think intentionally about your income and about your spending and what changes would need to be made in order to give at that level. For me in my journey of generosity, I didn't need to do that. I didn't think intentionally about what I was giving when I was just pulling cash out of my wallet from the previous nights working at the restaurant and throwing it in the plate. I wasn't thinking intentionally. It was just it's on my hand. Here you go. Here's part of it. And even when I was giving whatever was left after I paid all my bills, I was thinking intentionally about what I was giving, but I wasn't thinking intentionally about what I was spending. And so, it didn't take long once I started thinking intentionally about my spending to identify areas that I could cut back of stuff that I didn't really need, that stuff I was consuming for my own benefit, but to repurpose the money that was going towards my benefit and to repurpose it for generosity, and living generously, giving financially to the local church and to other efforts. So tithing and that 10%, and people will ask, is it pre-tax, is it post-tax? I don't really care. That 15 to 20% for us is probably pre-tax income. I think I'd have to go back and do the math, but again, that's getting into some legalism that I don't think matters. What tithing does is tithing is training. You learn through tithing how God provides for you in ways that don't make sense. When you restrict your consumption to 90% of what you make, when you get to that point, you find out that God can do more in your life with 90% of your income than you can do in your life with 100% of your income. Tithing helps with budgeting. Tithing helps with savings. Tithing helps with getting out of debt. Tithing helps with breaking bad habits. There are any number of ways in our financial life that tithing actually helps because it forces you and I to be intentional about everything as it relates to our financial life. And so as tithing trains you for a financial life that is stewarding the resources that God has given you, honoring God with your finances, and as you learn to live into the freedom that you have to give generously and trusting that Malachi 3 promise, that to test God and to see that there will always be enough for you when you are intentional, when you present your offerings to God, when you live generously. When you learn and live into the freedom that you have to give generously, generosity becomes a lifestyle, and it's lived in response to the generosity that God is continually showing you, because God will show up in your life, in your finances, and you'll be able to do things financially that just don't make sense, that should not be happening. Uh, but for the fact that you're participating and aligning your financial life uh, in accordance with God's economy as opposed to the world's economy. And that really does, not because you're giving at a magical amount, but because of the mindset that you now have around your finances. It really does change how you live, and it opens up all kinds of possibilities. And so the question I would just leave you with is this: where are you in the journey of growing in generosity? Are you giving in reaction to just what you have on hand or what you think you can give after everything else is paid? Or are you moving with intentionality in the direction of tithing? Have you embraced giving out of a grateful heart and out of a broken heart? And so I would just say, if you're someone who's in that place where maybe it's just I'm giving out of what I have on hand, or what I think I can give after all my expenses are paid. It may seem like a big leap to go from that point to tithing. And so, what I would say is, if you don't think you can go to a full 10%, then don't make that your starting point necessarily. You might be able to do it. You might look through and identify ways to give, but maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 6, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3. I mean, it just depends on where you are. I think it's the key for this is to look at where you currently are, what steps you would need to take in order to move forward, and allow tithing to be the training wheels to help you live a life of generosity. And so just be thinking about that. I'd be happy to talk through. I know money is weird. It gets treated weird. People have these sort of weird hang-ups about pastors talking about money and what pastors know about giving and all that. I get that totally. But if I can help in your journey of generosity, moving in the direction of tithing, moving in the direction of embracing giving out of a grateful heart and a broken heart, I definitely want to help to do that. Giving financially is a discipleship, is a spiritual discipline. It's an act of discipleship, and so if I can help you grow in that area of discipleship, I want to be able to do that. But as you consider what you will give financially in 2023, I would challenge you just to simply take that next step, whatever that is, trusting that you cannot outgive God and that you will experience how God can bless you as you are a blessing to others. Thanks for watching this Beyond Sunday. God bless. Have a great rest of your week. Remember, this Sunday is our fall stewardship appeal. And so to bring your stewardship statements of intent to worship either 8:30 or 10 a.m. on Sunday. Have a great day. God bless.